What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of the Sheehan Show here on Sherdog.com. My name is Sean Sheehan, and today I'm bringing you a special edition of the betting show, and it's going to be a one championship special today because, simply said, the biggest MMA this weekend and the biggest martial arts this weekend is found over at one championship. So there's four MMA fights on that card, and I'm going to give you my moneyline betting pick for all four of them. I have my preview as well if you want a little bit more of like an analytical, maybe 50-50 look. Whereas here today, I'm going to give you my my pick, basically, and my betting pick. And it's interesting that some of the prices here are very, very interesting. Four very close fights, but we'll get into them and we'll talk about them here as well. And just one more thing I wanted to mention here, because I mentioned it on the previews, and I'll say it again, if you haven't seen that preview, please check that out as well. But it's great for one championship that they have, you know, the weekend to themselves, basically. As I said, the I believe there's some sort of Nate Diaz boxing matches that on this weekend, maybe, who knows. But I think a lot of MMA fans are kind of a bit passé on that sort of fake boxing stuff now. Kind of like, if there was an MMA fight, we'd care. But I feel like, you know, one championship is the sort of thing this weekend that people might see myself for Capose or someone like that tweeting about it and then tune in to watch it. So it's a great weekend for one championship, and I'm not sure if they meant it or not, but I feel like it's something a lot of the MMA organizations that are not UFC should do. There's no UFC this weekend. Get on there, you know. And I know, bad time for the PFL, to be fair. They had their 3 events in a row, and this was just one where it didn't land, I suppose. But great timing for one championship, and great timing for me, because I can give you out my bets for one championship as well. Right, so we'll get to those 4 bets and the 4 MMA fights first. There's one or two other things I just want to quickly touch on before I get to those, and that's the non-MMA fights on this card. Now, there's 3 of them especially I want to touch on. 2 of them not great prices, but maybe we'll make a treble out of them and go from there. So the first one I want to mention is Mamadou Kamara against Oumar Kane, better known as Rug. You might be saying, Shawty, what are you talking about? Isn't Rug fighting for the heavyweight title here in a few weeks? And he is, and he still is, but in the meantime, he's having a kickboxing match against Mamadou Kamara, and Rug is minus 549 for that, plus 350 for Kamara. And obviously, look, Rug is a big favourite there. And if you don't know the story behind it, I was actually reading about it only myself yesterday or the day before. And apparently Kamara is another one of these behemoth Senegalese wrestling beasts. And he's, you know, doesn't like going full Nate Diaz. And not to mention Nate again, you've taken everything I work for, calling Rug out, calling him out for a fight, saying, you know, I'd beat you up and on, and Rugger was like, okay, come on, let's do it. Let's have a fight, and they're going to have a kickboxing match now. I look for footage of Kamara. There doesn't seem to be much out there, but apparently he is like one of the top guys in the Senegalese wrestling. Never, as to my knowledge, did any kickboxing or mixed martial arts or anything like that before. But look, if you're one of those Senegalese wrestlers, you're a fighter. There's no shredder doubt about that. So he'll be going in there. Look, I've no flyer for this week because there's no big prices. But like, if you're looking for a flyer plus 350, like Rug, he's had these issues before. We'll talk about Kirill Grishenko later on. You know, Grishenko basically made him quit in a fight. You know, his hands have definitely been improving. There's no shred out about that. Working with my countryman John Mitchell, I know, who's a good striker and a good boxer himself as well. And Rug has definitely improved there. So you would definitely expect Rug to win this fight. But you know, if you're looking for a mad flyer this weekend and you know, a tenor that you never want to see again, is Kamara the one? I've never seen him fight. I've never seen him throw a punch. So maybe, I don't know. The other matchups then in the jiu-jitsu, Ruotolo is taking on Joseph Shen, and he's a very similar price. In fact, the exact same, minus 549 plus 350 for Joseph. Again, don't know too much about him, but reading into it, you know, obviously I've seen Ruotolo many times at this stage, and his brother as well. And Joseph is supposed to be like a real whiz kid, young. I believe he's still a teenager, still young anyway. But it's obviously going to be very, very tough there. So that's one of the other ones that'll stand out, especially with Ruotolo going into MMA was it the last event? It was the last event, wasn't it? Like there's been talks about both of them going into MMA, and I think it was Kate said in the last one that Tai is going to be even better than him, so that's interesting as well. So if we're to look forward with that in mind, and you want to get the bets in early or get the tape watching in early, maybe that's a good way to go. The other one I wanted to touch in this tree, and maybe the treble that we might throw together here, because he's a bit of a better price, although he's still favoured, is Luke Lessei. Who's minus 188 for his fight with Bampara Koyate. Now, I didn't manage to watch a bit of both of them. I watched a lot of Lessei. I know Koyate is one of those very, very well I don't know, it's well-rounded word, but well-prepared, tough, well-rounded, control all the kicks, all the punches and everything like that, and just a solid test. Like, whenever I was obviously as someone who's concentrates a lot on mixed martial arts. I'm when I go into the Muay Thai side of it, when I watch some of the kickboxing side of it, one thing I always a big difference between that and mixed martial arts, and this might sound bad on mixed martial arts now, is there's a level of preparation, I think, or maybe a level of technique that everyone at that sort of level has, that I don't always think is the case in mixed martial arts. Now, not necessarily in one championship, but in the UFC and in other organizations as well. Some people can, in MMA, you can get to a certain level on you're tough, or you're pig-headed and you'll go forward, and not everyone is a Leon Edwards or a John Jones or Demetrius Johnson, a technically very good fighter, But in Muay Thai, and Muay Thai definitely, kickboxing to a certain extent as well, I feel like they are. Now, that's just me saying that now, but at the same time, maybe that's a discussion for another day. But on the betting show, I think what Koyate is a guy who's very well-rounded and be a tough test, but I think Lessei is a guy who has a high ceiling. And he's very much, obviously, only 1 or 2 fights into his career outside of America, where he did very good things in America. And I look, he's the favourite for this, so obviously it's going to be a winnable fight for him. But I feel like this is the sort of fight where he goes in there, gets his 3 rounds in, and rises to another level. And, I'm no expert in Muay Thai or anything like that, but that's what I see when I look at that. So those 3, Luke Lessei, Tai Ruotolo, and Oumar Kane. If you want to put the 3 of them in a parlay, it's plus 114. So just over even money for that parlay there to give you a 5th bet before we get into the mixed martial arts. I think that's not bad at all. So if you want to have a look at that, please feel free to do it. Right, let's get to the mixed martial arts, and let's look at the first bet of the week. And we'll talk about the prices first, and then I'll give you my pick. So the main event is for the interim lightweight championship. It's Alibek Rusalov against Ok Rae Yoon. Rusalov, funny enough, is the favourite, minus 120 and minus 110 for Ok Rae Yoon. So very, very close. Now these odds have been out for maybe an hour, so these could change rapidly over the next couple of days before this card comes on. My pick at that price, either way, is Ok Rae Yoon. Now, if this had been, if Ok had been a minus 300 favourite or something like that, and you could get Rusalov at plus 200 even, I think I probably would have been gone for Rusalov. I do view this as a very close fight, but if you listen to the previous show, I did say Ok Rae Yoon is my pick. And when you give me a better price, it's obviously going to enhance that. So Ok is the pick there. And the reason why he is the pick, you might ask yourself, is kind of, well, the main reason he is the pick is I just think Rusalov is very green, and it's unusual. I was talking about him in the preview, but I was talking about another fighter as well recently, and we watch a fighter, right, on the feet. So a talented striker, you could say like maybe a Peyton Talbot, although he's the exact wrong example of this, but like maybe a young Sean O'Malley or a young Max Holloway, someone like that. You go, just good striker, obviously a very, very talented guy, but a little bit green. needs to learn how to kind of defend a little bit better. Maybe even Ian Gary, the early days of his UFC career, or a couple of fights in Cage Warriors, and gotten better and better and better and more, tactically and technically proficient. And it's normal to say that with a striker, but for a grappler, I don't think it normally is. But for him, that was the one thing that stood out to me. Like, he's not the greatest wrestler in the world, but a brilliant grappler. But at the same time, and what I mean by brilliant grappler is he's very good at top game, sticks to your chest, and he stays on top of you, right? But you look at his game, and I watched a good bit of him, and you can't go into this fight and go, right, Sean, how's he going to take him down? Because usually someone has a good single leg, they have a good double leg, they have a good body lock, or maybe they have a good 3 or 4 things, good against the cage, you're taking lads down. I wouldn't say anything stood out for him as being like a really good part of his game. I wouldn't say any of it. But still in all, every fight I watched him in, he managed to get the fight to the ground and get on top. Like, sometimes, like, his opponent fall over. Sometimes he kind of kicked the legs out from under him. The odd time he'd throw in a double leg. But a lot of time, the wrestling was stopped. The takedown was stopped. The double leg was stopped. The single leg was stopped. What he is probably the best part of his game, apart from the top control, and I literally mean top control here, is probably his stick-to-itiveness. To throw in a bit of an American word there. He never stops. He's chain wrestling. He's always go, 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 go. And that's, like, I was looking for the answer to my own question. That's how I think he gets it. So he's very good. Now, a big issue for Ok is, right, he has been taken down. But if you watch his fight with Munin Gafarov, he defended takedowns very well to a point, right? He had issues in the clinch, and if he lets it get to the clinch here, he'll probably have issues again. But the reason I'm picking him is twofold, right? Right, and I already said twofold, but here's the reason. Rasulov, okay, takedowns, not amazing. Top control, amazing. But the level of ground and pound, and he's a good finishing rate, but he doesn't strike me as a guy who will be finishing lads the higher he goes. He strikes me as a guy, if he gets to the very top, he'll be winning decisions, and he very well could be, right? So I think this is the type of fight that will probably go either 5 rounds or until Ok finishes it. And the thing about Ok is he has fearless power even after he's taken down. So he throws his shots, he throws his hands. That's the first side of it. And the second side of it is we have scoring as a whole in one championship. So if Rasulov wrestles him for 5 rounds and 4 or 5 times throughout the fight, Ok hits him with a big shot, Ok is going to win that fight. That could be the case in, he's landed almost 4 shots in 1 round, whereas in MMA, in the United States or with the 10-point month system, it would be a 49-46 maybe to Rasulov, whereas that's not the case in one championship. So I also think the greenness of his game will be exposed by someone who is not green like Ok. I think that is a high possibility of happening. Now, the betting is very close. When you have a top game as good as someone like Rasulov, he very well might take him down at the start of every round and lay on him for 5 minutes in every single round and win the decision. He very well might, or he might get a submission, or he might tire him out or whatever. Absolutely. But I'm here to give my pick. It's a close fight, and I believe that Ok, his fearlessness and his the amount of fights he's been in, we'll just pull up here a couple of the fights he's been in versus Rasulov. So, like, for Rasulov, this is his first fight in one championship. I watched some of his fights, and he fought some good guys. His last fight against Cesar Olashechuk, he's a good fighter, there's no doubt about it, and he won the fight well, but not really any names that stick out other than that. Whereas for Ok, he fought Loan Tainanis, who is a very good American wrestler. He fought Christian Lee a couple of times. He fought Eddie Alvarez. We talked about Gafarov earlier on as well. So there are some very, very good names there who he has fought in his career. He actually fought Song Yadong as well in the third fight of his career back in 2015. So a lot of names there, and I just think that will benefit him and see him winning this fight. Right, so that's minus 110. The second bet I'm going to give you, and this one, if you listen to the previous show, is very much head against heart. And it's Kirill Grishenko, and I was very surprised, very, very, very surprised to see the betting on this. He's plus 130 to beat Ji Won Kong. And if anyone has listened to any of my One Championship shows before, or Kang Ji-won even, sorry, Kang Ji-won, I'm a big fan of Kang Ji-won. He is the heavyweight wonder boy from South Korea. He's absolutely brilliant, a really talented athlete. You know, he went toe-to-toe with Paul Elliott and absolutely sparked him. He knocked out Ali Akbar. You know, his only fights that he's lost really are to very strong grapplers in Bintainen and Buchecha. You know, and other than that, very good. Grishenko on the other side of it then, you know, he's been in there with some good guys as well, and he's come out on top against those guys, you know, for the most part. He's only, look, it's 7-2 versus 5-2, I suppose, but there's a lot of experience in the young heavyweights in One Championship. Like he lost to Buchecha and Malyakin, who's obviously the champion, but he beat Rugrug. You know, he spoke about earlier. He beat Dustin Johnson, who's a good fighter as well. And for Kang Ji-won, you know, I mentioned he beat Paul Elliott, he beat Amir Ali Akbar, but, you know, being in with Titan Benil Almeida as well, there's a lot of experience there. I just think for Grishenko, right, he moves well on the feet and he's fast enough to not get overwhelmed by Kang Ji-won's speed and dynamic ability. He can grapple well, he's very long, and as we saw against Rugrug, he'll come forward and he'll hit you with lots of big shots. I think, and I'm pretty sure this is in a ring, if maybe people could correct me if I'm wrong, but I very much think the ring hurts Kang Ji-won. Now, Kirill Grishenko, he's not an out-and-out grappler, but he can grapple. You know, there'll be no grappling, I guarantee you from that, as a spider hangs down across me here. Did I get it? I didn't. I guarantee you there'll be no grappling from Kang Ji-won. He's just an out-and-out striker, that'll be that. But I think Kirill, much like Ian Gary the last year, fighting a talented striker, go out and take him down, and I think he might. But, like, he does go forward with power as well. He does spin. I would not at all rule out a Grishenko knockout. I'll be honest, I'm kind of amazed that Kang Ji-won is the favourite in this one. I think he's a talented guy and can knock anyone out, but I think Grishenko is the type of level of guy that, and it's the type of size of guy and the type of skill set of guy that I think he will struggle with. So I'm going for Grishenko to win that, and as well as the underdog at that price of plus 130. I think you kind of have to go for him there. Then we've Wada against Ziwei, and I'm going for Ziwei. He's also the underdog, actually, funnily enough, at plus 120, minus 163 for Wada there. But again, the all very, very close fights in this one. The reason I'm going for this one, I suppose, is I think Ziwei is just a better striker. Like he's a pressure fighter, massive power for his size, switch stances, high output, good takedown defense for a time. Throws a lovely leg kick, not afraid to trade, does get caught himself, and, you know, but has this massive overhand right hand. And, like, I'll pull up the stats here in a second, but, like, for a guy his size, he really shouldn't have the amount of knockouts and all that he does have. 12 knockouts, 13 finishes in 17 fights. That is an astonishing rate, you know, for a guy fighting down the weights like he is at flyweight. You know, it's absolutely astonishing. And the two things I mentioned there, the big power, the big right hand over the top, and the big leg kick, I think it's perfect for fighting Wada. He has this very open square stance, low hands, throws one shot. And I was like some of his recent and older fights, I think he kind of very much gets caught up in that square, wide open stance, looking for the one big right hand. And I don't think he wrestles and grapples enough. And when he does it, he's brilliant. Like he dominated Demetrius Johnson in the clinch for periods of that fight. I don't know if you remember, I think, was it DJ's first fight? I think it might have been DJ's first fight in One Championship. And, like, he gave him trouble, but very good in the clinch, you know, got on top of DJ and all that. And he can do that. But I just feel like he doesn't do it enough. And, you know, he lost to a heavy wrestler a couple of fights ago in Akhmetov, and you just wonder if he might do a bit of that himself in this one. You know, it's a big fight as well for both of them. Like Ziwe coming off of losses to Yuya Wakamatsu, knocked out, and Reese McLaren submitted as well in a fight where he almost had him finished. You know, this guy is a top level fighter. He should be fighting at the very, very top. You know, he's yet to fight Demetrius, and I don't know if Demetrius is retired or not yet, but like that, I'm sure that's something he'd absolutely dream of having, and this is a must-win fight for him. You know, watching the two of them, watching the way they strike, it's hard to me to look at that and not see that Ziwe will win it. And honestly, I think he will. I think he will, and that price is very, very good as well, plus 120 on that one. And the last MMA fight of the night as well, I'm going for the favourite in this one. It's Koha Minowa. He's minus 163 against the plus 120 Jeremy Miata. Now, again, a very, very tough fight to pick here between two guys who are, you know, stalwarts as well. The division have been around for a long time. Like Jeremy Miata, I suppose a lot of people might remember him from his couple of fights with Lito Adevang, and you know the way the first one ended with the knee injury, and 1X, you know, probably the most viewed card I've had, and then obviously he lost the rematch, but you know he's lost 3 in a row now as well, and he's last 3, and I believe Minowa has the same, if I'm not wrong. Indeed he has, but like the level they're fighting, like Minowa fought Gustavo Ballart, Masuane and Jared Brooks, probably like 3 of the top 4 or 5 maybe in that division, and then Miata lost to Yamakita Adevang and Malakiev, who's a very, very talented wrestler. Look, he beat Daniel Williams and Lito Adevang before that as well, so he's a very talented guy himself. But the reason I am going for Minowa here is just, I think, like, his looseness on the outside, his ability to stay away on the outside, and his ability on the ground is just probably second to none. I know Alex Silva is there as well, but he's 8 submissions on his record out of 13 wins. You know, only 2 decision wins. He's lost a few decisions, absolutely 5 decisions in there as well. But you know, Miata is primarily a striker. He's lost a couple of times by submission. You know, 2 of his last 3 fights have been lost by submission. So you're going in there against another submission guy as well. And when I say it, like, his fights, and I said a similar thing about Ziwe at times, because of the way he attacks and because of the way his opponents want to strike with him, it kind of turns into a clinch. He'll pull guard or fall down, or he'll get a takedown, and it invariably turns into a jiu-jitsu match. Sometimes, like I say, like a guy like Gunnar Nelson, it's often very hard for him to turn these fights into a jiu-jitsu match. But for Minowa, it seems to happen so very often. You know, he's always looking for a takedown. He's very, very good on top. If you get on top of him, though, he's very holdable there, if you want to put it that way. But he's amazing when he gets on top of himself. He's an absolute beast and looks for submissions all over the place. Like, let's just look at a few of the submissions he has on his record. Like, a lot of rear naked chokes are in there, but he has a key lock submission as well. He's won a couple by guillotine and things. So he's a very, very talented guy. Like Miata, the other side of it, like, he is that action fighter, and he throws those combos. His hands are absolutely brilliant. Lovely uppercuts, in and out movement. Rushes in with power with every shot, but he leaves himself open, and you know, he throws that flying knee an awful lot as well. If he does throw that here against Minowa, he's getting taken down, and he's probably getting submitted because Minowa is that good. So look, that's kind of the reason I'm going for it. I think the way Miata fights and the way Minowa fights leads to, look, maybe Miata could knock him out, but it's probably going to lead to Minowa getting the fight to the ground and getting the submission. So that is bet number 4/5 of the week, minus 163 for Minowa. Just to close things up here, there are another couple of fights as well. My Irish compatriot Stefan Crowdy, he was very good in his last fight, and he's actually a plus 200 underdog here against Alexei Balko. I believe I saw Balko once before, and he was good as well. So, you know, again, no kickboxing or Muay Thai expert here at all, but Karodi was impressive the last time out, a plus 200 there. Maybe for people who maybe know more about it than me, it would be looking at that. And there's a new guy coming over, Nico Carrillo. I think he's from Scotland. He's a minus 225 favourite over, I always pronounce his name wrong, Simapech. Ooh, like, if you're looking for an underdog there, like, Simapech is a talented guy, like, very, very talented. Ali Saldiev is the Favorite over Black Panther. He's he's the underdog, plus 140, minus 188 for the Black Panther. And that's kind of the main stuff from the weekend. There's one other fight as well. Barboza is plus 150 against the minus 200 Deschapan. So yeah, I think that's the kind of top and the bottom now of the betting from One Championship. So just to recap the 5 bets for the week, I'm going for a treble of Luke Lessei, my guy Rug, and I'll go for Ruotolo as well from 3 different sports. That's plus 114. I'm going with Rae Yoon at minus 110 to win his fight there. I'm going for Kirill Grishenko at plus 130 to win his fight. I'm going for Wei Xie at plus 120, and then I'm going for Minowa to beat Jeremy Miado at minus 163. All right, everybody, that is it for me for today for the One Championship betting special. Tune in to One Championship this weekend. One on Prime 23. It's on Amazon Prime on in America and in the Canada, the United States, and it's on Sky Sports here in Ireland and the UK. So very accessible, and it should be a fun card. All right, I will leave it there. Thank you very much for tuning in. My name is Sheehan for Sherdog.com. Please bet responsibly, and we'll see you all next time.